Today we're going to talk about 5 items you do not want to buy or upgrade in Pokemon Unite. Let's go. Yo guys, how's everyone doing? This is your guy Assassin Dave. Welcome back to Foreign Famous Family again. Today we're going to show you 5 different items that you do not want to buy or be very cautious about upgrading them because they're actually not as good as you think it is. At least they tricked me for quite a long time until people actually data mine those items and find out the actual attributes the developers refuse to let out. So we actually don't know what's going on, but today we're going to show you exactly what's going on so you do not get tricked. So let's get started. The first item is Shell Bell. Alright, if you are a Gengar player out there, I know you're urgent to buy this item. I know you're urgent to upgrade this to level 30 like I did on my other account, on my first account in Pokemon Unite. And I want to warn you, do not do it until developers actually update this item, and we're going to show you why. Let's first read the item descriptions. It says, when the Pokemon hits with a move, it recovers a minimum of 45 HP. The higher the Pokemon special attack, the more HP it recovers. It also give you some cooldown and special attack. Wow, it sounds amazing. Every time it hits attack, just imagine if you play Gengar, right? And you just keep on jumping with the Hex, you're gonna get so much HP back, you're gonna be invincible, right? That's literally what went into my head, what was going through my head when I was first looking at this item. It made so much sense, right? But then there are people who data mine this item and find out on the website, Unite-DB, which I will put a link in the description so you guys can read the actual descriptions that people find out actual attributes about Shell Bell. This item has a 10-second cooldown to trigger every single time. So basically what it means is, if you play Gengar, you jump in and you heal up, right? But then you have to wait 10 seconds for the regeneration effect to trigger again. If you think about that for a second, the entire game is only 10 minutes, you know? And then every 10 seconds is like 1/6 of a minute. That's like 1/60th of the entire game. You can use it one time. The item is literally useless right now in the team fight. It just cannot be used. And by the way, the regeneration effect is not that high. All right, if you read this item, now obviously in the in-game, it doesn't tell you how much it regenerates. In the Unite DB, when people data mine, they find out it recovers up to 75 plus 45% of your special attack HP. Now, how much is that? I'll give an example. So let's just go ahead and read Gengar, right? Gengar's special attack at level 15 is going to be around 700. So basically 45% of that is going to be like, let's say 50% of that. That's basically 350. And that's overestimating everything. Plus whatever you're getting, let's just say you're getting 400 HP. How much HP in total Gengar has at level 15? It's going to be 7,200. And that's on the squishy side. 400 HP is nothing. It's not even 10% of your 7,200 HP. If you want to regenerate, you might as well just get Focus Band. You're going to trigger that every single team fight, right? And on top of it, you're going to get up to 42% of your missing HP back when you're low. So why would you ever buy Shell Bell? This item is brokenly bad right now. And I don't think the developer realized what they did to it by putting an 8-second cooldown on this item. So this item either has to be changed. Before it's changed, do not buy it, do not upgrade it, do not waste your money, okay? Alright guys, the next item is called Rocky Helmets. The reason why I say Rocky Helmets is bad and do not buy it, it's in the similar realm of Shell Bell. I actually recommend this item on some tanks because this item reminded me of a lot of the tank items that you see on other MOBAs. But in Pokemon Unite, once again, the developer designed an item that's not aligned with reality. Alright, what do I mean by that? If you read this item description, it actually sounds really good. It says, when a Pokemon receives a certain amount of damage, the damage is dealt to a nearby opposing Pokemon equal to 3% of those Pokemon's max HP. Now, that sounds amazing, right? Imagine you're playing Snorlax. Imagine you're playing Mamoswine, right? You charge into the enemy marksmen start hitting you like a motherfucker, like just a boss, just start hitting you back and forth, left and right, uppercut, like downward cut, whatever, right? They start hitting you. Now, you're a tank, so you're gonna be there taking damage for free. Now, if this item triggers every time you take a certain amount of damage, you're gonna reflect a lot of damage back to those, Cinderace, to those like fighters, to those attackers. It sounds like a tremendous item, but here comes the catch. If you go to Unite DB, when people data mine the actual attributes of the item, what they realize is this item has a 10% HP damage trigger in a single attack threshold. What happens is there's a threshold to when can this item passive be triggered. Alright, first of all, you have a 2-second cooldown, which is not that high. But there's another restriction that's ridiculous. What it is 10% HP damage trigger in a single attack. Now, what that means is a lot of tank are not going to trigger this item. Basically, your enemy tanks that try to hit you, damage you, they're not going to do any damage that's over 10% of your HP in a single attack. Probably not even their Unite moves. Right? If you think about all the supporters, defenders, they don't have a lot of damage skills. Even they do, let's know like Stomp, right? The heavy body slam. It does some damage, but it's not going to do 10% of your health if you're a tank player. And this item is obviously designed for a tank player. I mean, if I'm a Cinderace, I'm not going to carry this item, you know? I'm not going to stand in the freaking 5 people and get hit. But if I'm a Snorlax, enemy Snorlax hit me with a heavy slam, it's not going to trigger this item. What triggered 10% of your health in a single attack? You can literally count all of them in a single hand, right? For like probably Cinderace Parabol, if you're not that tanky. Probably you have a Unite move from some attackers or from speedsters, or probably from let's say Talonflame's Fly or Angry Bird. There are only so little skills in the entire game that can trigger this passive. Literally nothing else can trigger this passive. So if you think about it, this item is only okay in some scenarios. In most scenarios, most people won't be able to trigger it because yes, you can get hit by 4 people, but if the 4 people are hitting you, their individual move doesn't trigger 10% of your health, the passive of this item do not trigger, which again makes no sense. How they should design this item is, if I take 10% of my HP within 1 second as damage, then you should trigger the passive. That makes sense, doesn't matter where the damage is coming from, but as long as in certain duration, if I'm taking that much damage, it should trigger the passive of this item. All of a sudden, Rocky Helmet can be useful. But right now, the Rocky Helmet sounds pretty good, but the threshold is way too high to be realistically useful in the game. That's why no one buys this item in high elo. That's why you should not do it either. It's useful in some cases, but most cases it's not. Alright guys, let's move on to one of the biggest disappointment I had, which is Flowstone. Let's read the item first, and I'll talk about why this item is useless. Increase movement speed by 10% when the Pokemon is not in combat. Now, if you get this item to level 20, you get extra 20% when you're not in combat, and you get total of 120 movement speed by default if you get this item to level 13. To level 30. That's intense, right? That's really good. I can move really fast, have some extra attack damage in it. That means this item is designed for who? For people who are in a centered position, who like to roam a lot, who like to gank a lot. Here is a catch. Are you ready? This item has an 8-second threshold after leaving combat to be considered to trigger the passive of the item. What does it mean to be 8-second leaving combat? What is combat? Okay, whenever you're taking damage, whenever you're dealing damage, it's all considered as in combat. So let's say you're a jungler, right? You're a center position player. You're taking a core fish. You're farming one of those aldinos. You're farming whatever, right? In the map. As long as you're attacking or you're taking some sort of damage, the passive of this item will not trigger, because after 8 seconds of the last damage tick that you took or last damage that you dealt, then the Flowstone passive will trigger. Then you'll get a 20% movement speed. Ask yourself, how long does it take you to go from bottom to top? In Pokemon Unite, the map is so small. And most of the time, guys, when you're roaming from top to bottom, guess what people do? They will hit the core fish in a river area, right? There's 4 little core fish in the center. They will use that time to hit those core fish. So basically, you will always be in combat. The design of this item makes 0 sense because it tells us how little the developer actually played their game. Now, this is something we urge developers to change ASAP, because movement speed is such a core design element in all mobile games. In Pokemon Unite the same way, but you cannot design an item that is completely out of touch with the game itself and you bait people to buy this item. Because upgrading an item is very expensive. Get an item to level 30 costs you $40 US. Imagine you spend $40 to get an item to level 30 and you realize, oh crap, I can't even trigger the passive of this item. Now, when is it ever useful? When you're dead, right? When you come back from the base, right? That's probably 8 seconds out of combat when you're roaming to lane. But how often is that going to happen? I mean, if you die a lot, maybe, right? But for most people, it's not going to happen that often. Just to go from base to lane, you have a jump pad for that also after 5 minutes. So, guys, this item sounds really good. It promises a lot of stuff. But again, the threshold is too unrealistic, so do not buy them until developer change it. Now, the next item I want to talk about is called Assault Vest. All right, this item, I think a lot of people get it for free. What I want to tell you is do not upgrade this item. Why? Let's read the item together. When a Pokemon is not in combat, it is granted a shield that nullifies special attack damage that equal to 9% of its max HP. Wow, that sounds amazing, right? Think about a lot of mage type of casters, type of attackers in the game, like Cramorant, like a Ninetale, right? Like God of War. You know, if you're playing tanky character, you can actually build this item and make yourself super tanky, especially considering there are not so many actual tank items in the game. A Rocky Helmet we just talked about, you cannot buy it. This item sounds like a good choice. It gives you special defense, it gives you a lot of HP, and it gives you a shield. If you get a level 30, you get 15% of HP as shield. Now, again, here's the catch. This item has an 8-second cooldown. Has an 8-second requirement for you to leave combat for you to trigger. Similar to Flowstone. How often are you gonna be out of combat? We talked about, right? If you're taking damage, if you're attacking, it's considered you're in combat. As long as you do a little bit of damage or take a little bit of damage, it's considered you're in combat. Basically, walking into a team fight, you're only gonna have this shield once. And that's it. You're not gonna have the effect of the shield anymore, any longer going forward into the team fight. That doesn't really serve the role to fulfill what a tank needs in the game, you know, like to be extra tanky, I would say. So again, upgrading item is really expensive, so you really want to consider what item you want to upgrade. This item is not that horrible compared to some of the other items because at least you get a shield, you know, walking into a team fight. It's just that if you want to upgrade this to level 20 or level 30 to get a full effect of the item, you might not get the most bang for your bucks because your passive of the item only trigger one time every time walking into a team fight, and you have to make sure you do not attack it, do not farm before that team fight. You have to stay 8 seconds completely just gone, not doing anything. And if you think about that for a second, how can that happen? If you're playing Snorlax, guess what? You need farm. Snorlax only get its Unite move at level 10, right? Same as Mamoswine. Those tanky characters are really powerful, but they need levels, they need farm, they need experience. You have to be always hitting something. You have to be always farming, attacking, taking damage. So how often are you gonna get the shield? You might not even get the passive of the shield walking to the next team fight because you're roaming from lane to lane. You still wanna hit those core fish. You know, you still wanna hit those little monkeys on the road. Overall, guys, I wouldn't recommend this item at all because it's just not realistic. Maybe the developer can change this, nerf it to 4 seconds or something less than that because the pace of the game is so short. Requiring something to be 8 seconds out of combat to trigger the passive just makes no sense at all. So I heavily urge that we get this item changed. But before then, for the customers, aka viewers, do not buy it or upgrade this item. Now, the last item, leftovers. This item, everybody had because it's a free item. I think the first item you got it for free in the game. They give it to you for free, everybody has it on default. What I urge you to do is do not upgrade this item. Ideally in a game, we want to design a game where all items are equal because it costs the same to upgrade them. It's not like this item it costs cheaper or like 10% of the total cost of other items you upgrade. There's no tier for items. All items are created equal, supposedly. Not leftovers. This item is pure garble right now. It's at the bottom tier. Why is that? Okay, let's read this item first. When a Pokemon is not in combat, it recovers 1% of his max HP every second. When you upgrade this item to the full passive, you get 2% max HP every second. Now, that sounds amazing, right? If you're playing a tanky character, that means even if you're low, you never need to rotate, you never need to recall home, you can just stay in lane, you can stay rotating from lane to lane to use that time to regenerate HP. Now think about this, that sounds amazing. Also, the stats of the item, it gives you 240 HP, that's quite a bit of HP. It gives you 9 HP regeneration per second, which sounds pretty okay. Now, here's a catch. Similar to the Soul West, similar to the Flowstone, it has a requirement of 8 seconds out of combat for this item to be effective. Again, same reason. How often are you gonna be out of combat for 8 seconds? Not that often, guys, not that often. So basically, this item is gonna be completely useless to actually provide any meaningful regeneration. You have to basically stay idle. Do not do anything, just stay in the base, do not stay in your score zone, and just wait there for HP to regenerate. You might as well just go home. I mean, how long, especially after 5 minutes, how long does it take you to go back to your lane to recall? That's like 2 seconds, right? And you take a jump pad, pooh, go to your lane, that's another 3 seconds. That's literally how fast it takes for you to go to lane, right? Like 5 seconds. If you just recall and go home. But if you think about this, 5 seconds, even with the max amount of HP regeneration, that's only 10% of your HP back. even if it doesn't have a restriction. On top of it, there's 8 second out of a combat restriction, meaning that 8 seconds you have to not do anything, and then you're gonna get a 2% of your HP per second. That's crazily low, okay? This item needs a drastic change. Either give you like triple the amount of HP that it's giving you right now, just for the sheer amount of HP, and then it says, okay, we're gonna give you another 2% of max HP per second. That makes a lot of sense. But then you have to take away the 8 second requirement. Maybe add as a 4 second out of combat. That makes a lot of sense. Like I said, 8 second is way too long. All right. So do not upgrade this item, please, because you will regret it. There's only so little free tickets you can get in the game. For all those free-to-play players, my warning is here. All right. Those top 5 items that you do not want to upgrade or buy, make sure to go back to them, make a list. If you already upgrade them, I'm sorry, but they're useless for you right now. All right, don't use them in the game. Wait until this item be changed. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And I think it's gonna be changed soon. Soon meaning like by 2022. Hopefully, we'll see this item being changed. What do you guys think, guys? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. With that, Assassin Dave signing you off. Love you guys. See you guys next time. Bye for now.
Just for the thrill of it, nothing can